Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the VladCast. I'm here with a very, very special guest. First time on the VladCast. This is Kraig McRobinson. Say hello, Kraig.
How you doing, everybody?
So Kraig has been on a myriad of Vladdy P videos. You've seen him in Investigation. You've seen him in
Kraig v. Vlad.
Kraig v. Vlad. You've seen him in The Tweed Ultimatum. He's definitely made his mark here at Vladdy Productions. And he's an asset, if I'm being honest. Kraig, I think your work is moving.
Oh, thank you.
To say the least, moving. But a lot of people don't know about you is that you have a lot going on in your personal life.
Of course.
You have a lot of aspirations, a lot of which I'm sympathetic of. And I think you have a great future ahead of you.
Well, thank you.
Before we jump into that, get some things out of the way. Obviously, there's an elephant in the room right now. My usual podcast partner, Jerome Townsley.
Yes.
Right. We had, a little bit of a falling out last episode. We did resolve it a bit, but Jerome's not here for this podcast. I don't know when he'll be back. But I will say this, that he has been admitted to an institution, and that is all I will say. So we wish the best to Jerome, and we thank him for his time here, and we hope to have him back soon. But we're here with you, Kraig, now, and I'm excited to have a discussion with you today. But I mean, just look outside; it's beautiful outside today. Your ride here was a little bumpy. A little bumpy. Tell me more about that.
So I mean, at first, I just want to get out of the way that
Sure.
This is the most official setup I've seen since the Joe Rogan podcast. I mean, that was nice, but this is next tier.
Can I just say, I think you did amazing on that podcast.
Oh, thank you.
You did really well. Just making your case for president, which we'll discuss later, but great job on that.
Thank you. I'm not sure when that'll be up.
Right.
Me and Rogan had a bit of a tussle towards the end of it, so
Right.
I'm not sure if it's going to get released.
Right, you gave me the cut, so that's why, you smuggled it out of the studio. That's why I have seen it. Obviously, you guys have not seen it, but hopefully, you'll see it soon. But your drive here.
But yeah, as for the weather, it's a fascinating topic. I mean, when I got in my car to leave, it seemed perfect out. Mm-hmm. It was wonderful, blue skies ahead, but...
Right. And you live in Kiev, Ukraine, we should be clear.
Yeah, exactly. And, usually the Russian forces... There's really just, dirt and smoke in the sky sometimes, But we don't have to get into that. That's a whole nother topic.
Mm-hmm.
But, halfway here, I was on the, once I made it over, the Atlantic, I was on the LIE, there was this guy, and he cut me off, and I was wondering, why was that necessary? I didn't think that there was any need for that, but then I saw that there's a mini tornado forming right in front of in the middle lane.
Right in Massapequa?
Yeah, right in Massapequa.
Right. I heard about that, actually.
It was insane, and then snow just started coming down, and then the road just started breaking in half. I mean, police cars were just getting eaten up, and it's a big epidemic that we should be talking about.
Right. They talked about the Mayan calendars, and that didn't come true, but,
yeah.
It looks a lot like 2012 out there.
Yeah, I believe this actually comes from an old Bangladesh prophecy.
Is this right?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Okay, I did not hear that.
Yeah, I mean, me and Joe Rogan spoke about it a little bit after I had my extensive stay after the fallout of the 2016 election.
Was that before you stabbed him, or after you stabbed him?
Before.
Oh, before.
Yeah, so after my fallout in the 2016 election...
Sure.
Legally, some stuff happened.
Mm-hmm.
I went on a retreat to Bangladesh, and that's where I learned about this prophecy, and... I believe that is what's happening now. Long Island's the epicenter for it.
Right, Massapequa, to be specific, as we are recording here from Massapequa,
yes.
Our studio in Massapequa. Wow, that's really that's really an interesting thing. Everyone stay safe out there, and we are the only standing building in the entire world right now. We are in Massapequa. Massapequa, thankfully, has been the eye of the hurricane, in that it has not been touched. So stay safe out there. The apocalypse is happening right now, guys, but I hope you guys can stay safe. But getting off of that, I was watching football the other day.
Yeah.
So, a couple days ago, football was on, and the Baltimore Ravens have been doing great this season.
Incredible.
In large part thanks to Lamar Jackson, who has taken the reins from Joe Flacco, who left the Ravens, and now Lamar Jackson is, he's leading the Ravens, doing very well. But Kraig, you told me something about Lamar Jackson, in the green room that I didn't know about him, and that has to do with his hobbies.
Yeah. Lamar Jackson. A lot of people don't know. He's actually a big. I don't know what exactly you could call it. Entrepreneur in the silly string business.
Is that right?
Yeah, and it's a fascinating business from the production and the manufacturing to the packaging to the branding, and DeMarcus Jackson really loves every part of it.
Oh wow, that's really interesting because you think he's a great football player making millions of dollars. What is it that draws him to silly string?
I mean, I feel silly string is almost metaphorical. It's so chaotic, yet at the same time so simple and beautiful, and I think Michael Jackson really finds the beauty in that.
Yeah, that really kind of ties into the discussion of Aristotelian metaphysics we were having,
of course,
in the green room. Yeah, that is super interesting, and it's just funny because you get to the NFL, that's the pinnacle of everything. Why would you want to go into the silly string business? But that makes me think, Kraig, of your experience in the NFL. Obviously, you are, in NFL, a former NFL player.
And coach.
You coached?
Oh, yeah, I actually was coach first.
Really?
Yeah.
What team? Tell me about that.
So I coached from 1972 to 1974, the Miami Dolphins. Mm-hmm. The undefeated season, that was all me, but they stripped that away from me.
Wait a minute. Now, I remember the undefeated team. Why did they strip that season away? What'd you do to deserve that? And did you deserve it?
I'm not exactly at liberty due to just some illegal proceedings and some rulings. I'm not exactly allowed to say what I did, but it does.
You good, Kraig? You good?
Hold on.
Take a second to breathe. Kraig just got caught up. Yeah.
It evokes so many emotions when I think about the trial.
Yeah.
But it involved upwards of around 90 pounds of cocaine.
No way.
And the possible accidental death of a prostitute from Cyprus.
I just want to make this clear to the audience.
Yeah.
When Kraig said accidental, he did the air quotes.
No,
No, let the record show he did the air quotes.
Technically, air quotes have, like I said, I spent so much time in Bangladesh that air quotes is sort of a sign of trust. Like, you can trust me. Accidentally, you can trust me. It was accidental.
I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt here, Kraig.
I mean, the court did.
Right. And I'm very happy they did, because otherwise we wouldn't have you here today. But I'm not, I'm not a detective. I'm not an investigator. I do have a sneaking suspicion you're a murderer.
Well, no.
I just want to make this clear to the audience again. He did the air quotes again when he said no.
Once again, so Bangladesh, it's a sign of you can trust me. I'm telling the truth.
Right. Okay. Well, let's move on a little bit, if we can. I will say you look great today.
Thank you.
You're in good health. I'm glad one of us is in good health. I'm currently, in the wraps with a nasty case of tetanus. I was shoveling out some rusty spoons from the ground the other day, and got one stuck in my hand.
Oh man!
And I got tetanus. So I've never had a tetanus shot in my life. So now I'm pretty sure I have tetanus.
Okay.
And I'm not sure what the diagnosis on that is. I don't have internet, so I can't Google it. I don't know what tetanus is like. I don't know what the effects are. All I know is I woke up, with foam coming out of my mouth. And I haven't slept in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's a symptom?
I believe so.
Have you had it?
Not exactly tetanus, but something relatively close.
What did you have?
Hepatitis B.
Awesome. So, Kraig, I hear that you are running for president.
I am.
In 2020, which is really exciting for you, of course. But it's also really exciting for me, because that means that you are the first presidential candidate that I've had on the podcast.
Well, I am honored, and I don't know why more haven't flocked to you.
Right. I emailed Pete Buttigieg's fan account.
Okay.
They did not respond to me. I mailed things to all the other candidates. Andrew Yang, I uvu'd with him a little bit as a primer, but he decided against coming on the podcast.
You don't even listen to Andy, boy.
Right, exactly. But I'm listening to you here, Kraig. One of your main tenets of your campaign is ganja for all.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about it? Because we've heard candidates talk about, legalization of marijuana, decriminalization, etc. But you're calling for universal marijuana coverage.
Yes.
Tell me more about this.
So, back on the topic of Andy Boy.
Okay.
His whole, whatever they call him, Yang Yen or whatever.
Yang Bucks, I think.
Yang Bucks, yeah. That actually comes from my proposition of universal marijuana income. Where basically, I think that, especially with such political polarization in our country, we could all benefit from just a nice safe, a nice smoke session.
Right. I'm sure when you told Joe Rogan about this, he was on board.
Well, me and Joe Rogan were actually actively consuming sort of a mix of marijuana, cocaine, meth.
Wait a minute, are you calling for the universality of those drugs as well?
No, just
you
marijuana.
that was just a personal thing.
Yeah, that's just more of a personal
that you were doing with Joe.
Preference, yes. But I think that not only should marijuana be legalized recreationally throughout the country and U.S. territories, but I think that it should be pushed. It should be. I think that there should be no age requirement to buy it. I don't see any negatives of it. I believe
you don't see. Wait, hold up. Okay, so I'm not gonna state my opinions or anything, but you don't see any negatives with universal marijuana for kids even?
Oh no, I think the younger the better. I think the quicker that we can get them hooked on the green, that will just more industry, more income.
Hooked on the green. Okay, now
that's actually my campaign slogan.
Hooked on the green.
Hooked on the green.
Wow, that's
trademark.
That's telling and that's convincing, I might say myself. But I am gonna challenge you a little here.
Yeah.
You have been accused of dodging a question recently.
Okay.
A lot of candidates have said that you are in favor of mandated marijuana usage. That is, if a person declines to use the marijuana for whatever reason, whether it be a medical condition or personal grievance or whatever, you're gonna have the marijuana task force break in.
So let me stop you right there.
Okay, please do. Clear this up for me. And for the audience.
Yeah. The MTF is not this police force that people make it out to be. It was more for regulating the actual consumption of marijuana. I don't believe that should be mandated. You shouldn't be forced to. It's just heavily encouraged, and tax breaks will be given if you do partake.
Now, I understand that part of it, but why do the MTF officers, why do they carry around machetes and rocket-propelled grenades, RPGs?
Okay, so I had a little bit of trouble really getting the task force together in the beginning, so I began hiring, what shall we call it, contracting a private unified group of bodyguards.
And are they armed?
Yes. I mean, we've been looking really towards Somalia, Iran, Yemen.
As a
Yemen,
basis.
great. Very, very.
Right.
I can't say enough good things about Yemen for how much they've supported the MTF.
Yemen, they have been saying that the world is becoming more unipolar. That is, a one world power around Yemen recently.
Of course.
Because they are just a model for just about everything we ought to be doing here. And I know that's another tenet of your
I could not agree
campaign.
More.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Kraig, and I appreciate you telling me more about your campaign. So have you been to Iowa? Have you been to New Hampshire?
So, New Hampshire, I have.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa, I was going to, saw it, didn't like it, kind of gross, so I left.
Oh, come on. That's no way to court Iowa voters, is it?
See, here's the thing. Me and Iowa, we have a respect for each other.
Okay.
They grow, Iowa potatoes, very, very famous thing, so I support that industry, and they give me the votes in return. One way to show my interaction is I actually have helped form some of the districts, the congressional districts, and I think it's beautiful how much we cut it up in crazy looking ways to really show the complexity of Iowa and how important it is. And so I think cutting it up in so many strange shapes really benefits the election.
Interesting take, Craig. I do want to talk about an incident that happened along the campaign trail. You were Mile High in Denver, Colorado.
Of course.
That's where you launched your campaign, obviously.
Where else could it be?
Right. But when you came back for the for another rally, there was a reporter, Chris Jenkins, with the DTV8, Channel 8. You're familiar?
Oh no, I know Chris Jenkins.
Right. And Chris has been missing for a couple months now. And some people say it's because he asked you a tough question on a campaign rally. Now, with your past, doing with the NFL in the murder case, that you have been... The charges were dropped. People are saying that you murdered Chris Jenkins. Do you have anything to say?
I do. Chris Jenkins wasn't the greatest man in the world. I necessarily don't think the world is any worse without him.
Okay.
But I think that something that people don't know about Chris Jenkins is he had a very, very bad addiction problem.
To what?
Coke, meth, heroin.
Wait,
nothing
Craig,
too serious.
Aren't you addicted to all these things too?
I'm not addicted. I'm a recreational user.
They're falling out of your pocket on my couch right here, Craig.
I'm a recreational user. But the thing that Chris Jenkins was really addicted to was gambling. And so he would often go to Las Vegas and spend way too much money and get on the bad side of the casinos. And so, personally, I think that, what's his name? He's a big casino owner. Charles Baker, thank you. Charles Baker of the, he owns the Grand Maritime Casino in Las Vegas. He's actually the one who killed Chris Jenkins. There's video for it.
Wait, okay, this is an incredible allegation that you're making, Craig.
So I wanted to wait until I was on a podcast I could trust, because as much as I like Joe Rogan,
Right. We have a bigger reach.
We do have a bigger reach.
About 18 people watch this podcast.
Exactly, but they're our core 18. They're an influential 18.
That's true.
And so we are actually now bringing up how Charles Baker was actually the one who killed Chris Jenkins.
So you're saying that Craig Craig Foprez 2020 had nothing to do with the murder of Chris Jenkins?
Nothing to do.
Nothing to do with it. All right, I mean, you heard it here. It had nothing to do with it.
Look, I was in... When did he die? What was it, May?
Yeah.
I believe I was in Greenland in that time.
Okay. Which is in Massapequa.
Yes, yeah. Oh, not to be confused with the country. Not to be confused with the country. Greenland in Massapequa.
Sure.
It's my favorite smoke shop.
Okay. When he was murdered?
Yes.
And you were in the smoke shop for the entirety of May?
Yes.
See, you couldn't have left, of course.
No. But that goes into a bit of the private dealings of Greenland, and I don't feel comfortable necessarily talking about what they may or may not do in their basement.
Are you tied up in a legal case in Greenland too now?
No. Because I'm just...
Tell me the truth, Craig.
I'm just an advocate for their shop. I have no actual business ties in them.
Okay. Now your only other run for elected office has been the mayor of Massapequa, our town and the only town on earth.
Yes.
And that was bitterly unsuccessful. So why can you win a presidential contest?
So here's the thing about the people of Massapequa.
Sure.
Kind of terrible. They're not the best, I'll be honest.
No comment.
I
have no comment. Clearly you have a comment on this one.
Well, no, see, here's the thing. I'm just voicing statistics. I'm just voicing factual-based evidence that was found. And the thing is, I think that the mayor is too low for me. Okay. And so I think people will really see me thrive in the presidential campaign. And they'll really see me thrive as president and executive-in-chief when it comes to the United States of America.
Okay, that was an impressive dodge, Craig. I appreciate that from you. But moving on from this presidential business, good luck in the race.
Oh, thank you.
I will not endorse a candidate. It's just my policy. But I appreciate you stopping by. The first presidential candidate, folks. Andrew Yang, you are welcome. Tulsi Gabbard, you are welcome. Bernie Sanders, you are welcome.
Waffle Harris.
She is not welcome on this program, unfortunately. But let's move on a little bit to the scientific update.
Oh.
I was telling you about this earlier, but I read in the in the LIU Post press about some breakthrough work their scientists have been doing. So the Marianas Trench.
Yes.
The deepest one in the world. It's the deepest part of the
the
ocean.
deepest trench.
Right, and it's located in Massapequa. But it's not real. Yeah, okay, so the scientists at LIU Post have been doing work there. One of the scientists' name is Dr. Frank Nuftegel. Kraig Nuftegel. He's been doing the work on
Good
this
for you, Kraig.
Yeah, Kraig has really been doing it out there. But he's found that the Marianas Trench does not exist. So he threw a medium-sized child into the water, expected it to go the length, the depth, I guess, of what we think the Marianas Trench is. It just stopped at 18 feet. So about a couple hours later, he pulled the baby out of the water. And the baby only took about 10 seconds to get up to the water, meaning that it didn't even go down the depth of what we thought it was. So they determined from that the Marianas Trench doesn't exist. So this is an incredible thing. There have been some dossiers leaked about the New Zealand government's,
I see. I've never trusted New Zealand.
Connection with the thing, and I don't trust New Zealand either. It's on the outskirts of Massapequa. It is the only other place to exist, and I'm not sure if I trust it. I will not go there. I will not let my children go there.
Completely understandable.
Right, my kid had a mahjong match there the other week. I did not let him go. He missed the match.
Good for you. That's the smart thing to do.
Thank you. I got a lot of flack from it, from my neighbor. But what are you going to do?
New Zealand sympathizers do not belong in Massapequa.
I agree with you on that. And folks, if there's one thing we can agree on in this podcast, it's New Zealand sympathizers do not belong in Massapequa.
Something I will promise right here, that the MTF will exterminate any and all New Zealand sympathizers.
That's an interesting campaign pledge from the Kraig Faux-Prez committee.
Yeah, we'll talk about that another time, but let's continue with Marianas Trench. Because
sure.
This is
big news.
This is big.
This is big news, and you're not going to see, CNN talk about it. You're not going to see any of the GSN talk about it or anything like this.
Breitbart.
Right, they're not going to discuss it. They're scared of this. They don't want to touch it with a 10-foot stick. But it makes you wonder if the New Zealand government is making this up. What else are they making up?
That is certainly an interesting point.
What else do we believe to be just, a fact that's not a fact?
How do we know there are 8 planets?
Right. Exactly. And there's been talk about Pluto not being a planet. Obviously, Pluto is a planet. There's not really a debate about that. But in 5 years or so, maybe they'll start saying, Pluto isn't a planet or something like that. So they're just going to kind of turn everything up on its head. And, folks, I just think you need to be vigilant about this. You need to be, ready to combat these narratives from the New Zealand government.
We need to be ready to combat the New Zealand government, period.
Do you think we need to go to war with them?
I think militarization is not only a requirement, but it's a necessity too.
Are you going to be adding this to the campaign platform?
I am considering it. I'm considering it with some of my closest advisors. Mel Gibson, he's very close to my campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Sheen, very close to my campaign. Jill Stein, very close to my campaign.
Right. They are all of your biggest advocates. I hate to bring it back to your campaign. I just want to stay on this here.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all good. It's just insane, really. The people of Massapequa should be, ready to combat any New Zealander that comes over the New Zealand-Massapequa border.
100%.
And we just need to be ready to combat this fake news.
Yeah.
Fake news is going to be a problem in the future, but it's a problem right now. Thank God for Kraig Nuftegel over at LIU Post, located in Massapequa, for cracking this thing, and figuring out what it's about. I can't wait to see what's next.
I can't wait to see what Crank goes from here. What else can he uncover? And
Crank really is one of the rising, scientists in all of Massapequa.
of course, I mean, they call him the bad boy of physics for a reason.
This is true. So, really excited to see what he does there. But we thank you, Crank, for that beautiful piece on the Marianas Trench. I'm going to share it with my kids tonight when I read them Hug You Go Bye Bye. It's their favorite book. Have you read that one with your kids? Do you have kids?
Allegedly.
Is this another legal controversy, Craig? Because if it is, I don't want to dive into this.
So,
don't give me too much.
The legal controversy is exactly who is the father,
okay,
and am I required to pay for children I don't want?
You don't want? I think you have to pay if they're yours, Craig.
See, there's a very, very fine line in the Constitution that's often looked over.
Okay, I'm going to cut you off there, Craig. I mean, that's a little nuts. I think you ought to pay for your kids. We had a long discussion about Maury on our last podcast and how, Unknown was that naked day at the filming of Maury. So I don't want to talk about Maury again on another podcast. I wish you the best of luck with your paternal undertaking.
Thank you.
And I hope you get that taken care of. But I want to... One last thing of this podcast, because we are running out of time. The studio producer is going to kick us out. He's actually opening the door right now. But we want to warn you guys to be ready for the next fashion trend. Cereal is the next big thing. Craig, you have a cereal necklace on right now.
Oh, of course. It's for those of you who can't see.
Which is everyone.
It is a Honey Nut Cheerio necklace coated in 24 karat gold.
Right. So fresh from Milan, this necklace is valued at 47 trillion pesos. So if you're interested in that, please give us a call. Please DM and comment on this video so we can get that to you.
I heard that Reese's Puffs, that's the up-and-coming cereal brand right now.
Right, and this is all speculation, of course. Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
I mean, yeah, you never know how the market's going to go.
Exactly, you can never really predict a market, but I can tell you this, we are in a bull market right now when it comes to cereal.
Yeah.
French toast, it's bear, it's a bear market, it's on the downturn, it's not the next big thing. But we're telling you right now, cereal, buy in it, because it's going to explode, folks, and you're going to want to be a part of it once it explodes. But with that, I want to thank every one of you 18 people, if we even hit that mark with this episode, for listening today, for watching this video. We appreciate it, and we appreciate you, Craig, for coming on the podcast today.
Well, thank you for having me, Vlad.
Of course, obviously, you had to carve some time out from your, campaign. I wish you the best of luck with your campaign and your, numerous legal battles.
I prefer to call them legal opportunities.
Great, Craig. Thanks so much, and good night, Massapequa.